Hello and welcome to the In Between Podcast. I'm usual host Joe Scorn and joined here by Tony. Tony's at RT. How are you, Tony?
Hello. It's a very warm Sunday. Well,
Yeah,
not
I
as warm as it could have been, I suppose, but still warm.
currently got the AC out, so apologies if I
Mhm.
sound weird because I've got RTX voice on, but hopefully it's all right. I sound all right on Discord, right?
Yeah, on Discord there
Cool.
wasn't any issues. Although I know different paths can do
I've done a
different
couple
stuff,
test
but
recordings
yeah.
and it seems fine, but hopefully this is
Okay.
the way to
Okay.
go. And when it's hot, we just
Yeah.
bring out the AC and then turn on the RTX voice. Like I remember every time we would record around my house, it'd be like,
Oh god, yeah.
pre-cool the room down with the AC, and then when we hit the record
Yeah.
button, you gotta, shut the window,
Ugh.
let the heat stew.
Pre-RTX voice.
Technology,
I
yeah.
still remember the hype around RTX voice is really good and like Barnacules and like LTT like testing it and going actually it's really good. And yeah, it was. It's
I
that good.
I I constantly use RTX voice. I've been for years.
Yeah,
So
mine's always on. My read through Discord, like it's through RTX voice. So.
yeah, it's a very useful tool. Because it's.
Yep.
I mean, they said it was gonna. We're in the middle of UK summer right now, and it's
Yeah.
been raining most of the time.
Yeah. Last week it was raining.
They said it was going to be the wettest summer ever, and I feel like last year was the wettest summer ever. I just feel like climate change is pulling a little prank on us. But
Yeah.
we're here to talk about video games and everything in between, Tony. Because you want to go through what I've been playing this week, and I'll be telling you what I've not been playing as well.
What? Okay.
Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. So I've been playing. I'm about chapter 10 now. I think that puts me probably about halfway through, or maybe over halfway.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, I don't. Well, the problem is a lot of like the first couple of chapters are really quick, and then you get like chapter 9 is super long. Like, you get all these chapters that'll be like an hour or an hour or two or something. Because I've been doing all the side quests. I think I like doing side quests more than the main story in Final Fantasy VII. So
that makes sense.
Like, I don't know if you've seen like any of the promotional material for Final Fantasy VII, but I'm at the Honeybee Inn, which is a very interesting part of Final Fantasy. Yes, I got the achievement for getting the good score in the rhythm dancing game at the Honeybee Inn. Femboy Cloud is real. I've seen it. Chapter 9 in Final Fantasy VII Remake is wild, and it's a very long chapter as well. So
okay.
You're
still going strong.
Yeah, Feather Party and Chained Together. Still playing that co-op, really cheap little party games. I did a solo Wings speed run on Chained Together. So as you play through the game, you get these things called wings, and wings that you like hover for a bit. But it turns out anytime there's a trampoline in the game and you use wings on them, it basically breaks the game because you can just like shoot up way higher into the sky than you're supposed to if you're like strafe jump on these trampolines with wings. So I was able to. I think I was like, I wonder, because I didn't particularly. I saw some speedruns of like some co-op people doing a run. I was like, I wonder how long it would take me to get to the top by myself with wings. And because I had, there's an achievement for doing it in 1 hour and 50 minutes, I think it is, on the achievements page, and I did it in 1 hour. I think it took me to get from the bottom to the top.
So you still get the achievement if you got wings, then?
Yeah, the achievement's not locked off. Okay. If you use wings, you get locked. There's 2 leaderboards. There's one with wings and there's one without wings.
Yep, that makes sense.
Because wings, trampolines plus wings equals break game, basically, is what I figured out. I've been playing Cat Quest 2 co-op. I mentioned to a friend, hey, you want to play Cat Quest 2 together? And he was like, oh, I've got it on Switch, which is hilarious because I'm like, I played it only on Steam Deck. He's only played it on Switch. I'm like, this is the ultimate handheld game. But we've been using Steam Remote Play because I was really curious, like, what state Steam Remote Play is in current year.
Any good?
He said
it was rocky before.
Because because I'm streaming it to him because I have a copy of the game, and he said, so if I try and capture Cat Quest while we're playing, Like, so if I tried to stream it on Discord at the same time, or I tried to capture with OBS, that would cause big stuttering with remote play.
Oh, right. Using your uploads.
Yeah, like trying to do anything else with the actual application or something else on the
Yeah.
internet, that would cause big stuttering for the other person on the connection. And there's different modes. You don't have like, I can't be like, I want to stream in 1080p at this bit rate. It's like you can choose beautiful, fast, fastest. Like those are the options you have.
That's annoying. Okay.
And I was just choosing fastest because that was I think that was the one that was getting the most consistent results with the
latency results
the
and
least
stuff,
amount
yeah.
of stuttering that the other person was
Okay.
experiencing. Yeah, I'd be interested
Yeah.
I'd be interested to experience somebody else remote play streaming a game to me over the internet.
Yeah.
Because I know that it's been updated, and generally most people around the world and most people I know, internet connections are a lot better now.
Yes. Yeah. They've improved quite sharply around the world.
But I would love more control because I'm playing Cat Quest 2. I'm playing it in 4K, but I don't need to stream it in 4K because it's going to look fine at like 1080p or even 720p or something. It's a fucking
Yeah.
pixel art game. Like if I could get a more responsive, like less stuttery experience, I would just turn the resolution down. And I guess that's what putting it to fastest might do. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. Like I can understand like having the like basic presets, but why isn't there like an advanced menu or something?
But yeah, Cat Quest 2 has been really fun. I've been enjoying that, and I'm excited for Cat Quest 3 when that comes out. Cat Quest 2 is such a chill game to play, especially like co-op. Power Wash Simulator just put out a free update, and I've played that with my friend Kay and Andy. And there was 2 community voted maps. One was a map and one was a vehicle, and they both ended up being aquatic themed. So the location was an aquarium, and the vehicle was a submarine. So those are the maps I've been cleaning.
So it wasn't guaranteed to be the same theme.
No, they did like a madness bracket, if you know what that is, where essentially you randomly put 2 against each other until you get a winner, and then they face against each other, and then the one that ends up at the end is the winner of that bracket. I played the Concord beta because there was a Concord beta, and I was like, basically, we watched the trailer, and I was like, this looks like Guardians of the Galaxy at home. And then it turns into like a hero shooter that looks like someone was trying to rip off Overwatch 7 years ago. And then they were like, oh, we've now spent 7 years making it, we've got to release it. And people were like, this game is dead, I'm not even going to try it. And I'm like, well, it doesn't actually look that bad, and I might as well try it. So I've been playing the Concord beta, and I'm like, it's fine. It's not the Antichrist.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I would want to see more variety from it. Currently, there's only like 3 maps and like a couple of game modes, and even in the beta weekend, I was struggling to get matches sometimes. So I'm like, I'd be worried about the player base if people have already written it off. And it's also the fact that it costs money to play it rather than it screams free-to-play game.
Is it too close to other games? I don't know, I guess if we want to talk about it maybe, but yeah. Is it too close to other games to be its own thing, or is it enough different?
It's really heavily leaning on the Guardians of the Galaxy aesthetic. Right. And then I would say it plays... It's more like a team arena shooter from what there's not that many objective game modes from what I played.
Okay.
There was like team deathmatch, and then there was one where you had to capture an objective in the middle, and then there was more like a Valorant or a CSGO game mode where you had like a round-based elimination thing. But I didn't play like a payload race or, like a capture the flag or anything like that. More like a, an Overwatch or a Halo or something. But yeah. No Man's Sky, we played this yesterday.
Yes.
I loaded up Steam and it said, you have not played No Man's Sky since 2016 when you played 90 minutes of it and refunded it. And I was like, yeah, no, I haven't. And I literally bought it again like a few years ago to be like, I'm going to play this in VR. That was my plan. But my friend Andy said, hey, do you want to play No Man's Sky co-op? And I said, yes. And I figured out that I've been trying to figure out how to play co-op in No Man's Sky because it's very confusing.
Yeah, because it's almost like a continuous thing, but then you could like then hop in and almost continue what you're doing with them, sort of thing. It's very.
Yeah, you have your own
I,
save
don't- I still don't.
instances.
I still don't quite know what is synced up and like what's not. It's because like it seemed very seamlessly
But they were
done.
like, you need
So
to
I don't
play
actually
this
know
much
what's
in order
what.
to get to meet up with each other. And then I was like, I went in
Yeah.
trying to play No Man's Sky co-op, like multiplayer, and I've so far spent 6 hours playing No Man's Sky single player. Basically, is
Yes.
what I've been doing. So, and then not games. Samurai Champloo, I finished that series. Amazing series. So, Samurai Champloo is made by the director Shinichiro Watanabe, and I think I'm just a massive fucking fan of Shinichiro Watanabe now because I've watched his other shows, Space Dandy and Cowboy Bebop, fucking amazing. They're like dripping, oozing with music, and like music is like the core element of the show. And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, it's Yoko Kanno. Always does the music for all of his shows, so he always has the same
That's cool.
musical producer doing all of the music. And I found it hilarious. It's like a lot of the time when somebody drops one of the best like genre-defining pieces of music, sometimes they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I made one of the best jazz soundtracks of all time," and apparently Yoko Kanno did not like jazz and does not listen to any jazz. And she just made the
Okay.
fucking Cowboy Bebop soundtrack and was like, "Oh, I guess I'll play this," and it's fucking phenomenal. And
Okay, that's cool.
apparently she just does a lot of research, and she basically took like a Greyhound bus from like the west coast of America to the east coast and just listened to people playing jazz in like when did Cowboy Bebop come out? It must have been like the 80s or 90s. It must have been the 90s, right? It can't have been that. 1998, I think it was. Yeah, it was the 90s. Okay. And yeah, just in the jazz music. So I was like, okay, I finished Samurai Champloo, which is amazing. Yoko Kanno didn't work on that, but that's because Shinichiro Watanabe wanted. So Cowboy Bebop is jazz. Space Dandy is like new wave electronic disco music. Samurai Champloo is samurais with hip hop music, and he just brought on a bunch of like hip hop artists to do the soundtrack. And I watched Kids on the Slope, and it's this really small little 12 episode show, and it is all about a bunch of kids who like connect over their love of jazz. I fucking love this show. This may be one of my favorite shows I've ever watched. It's fucking phenomenal. And it's only like 12 episodes long, but it is I can't stop listening to jazz music now after watching it. Like I just started the entire soundtrack is like real jazz songs, and they even have their own versions of the jazz songs. So you get to hear like Japanese people singing like jazz music and putting their own spin on it and stuff like that.
Do you have like association with the songs to stuff happening in the show then?
Yeah, but I'm just listening to.
You just like the music.
I like the songs from the soundtrack, and I'm listening to other stuff they've made. Like I'm listening to Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, Chet Baker. Who else? Like loads. I'm listening to Ella Fitzgerald as well, but I already know Ella Fitzgerald from Fallout music, so it's like I just love. Right. I feel like I've over the years I've got like such a deep connection to video games through music, and that's like playing the Fallout games, playing rhythm games recently. Like I've just been like, oh, I fucking love music and my connection to music through that. And I'm really connecting to these animations that Watanabe is making and Yoko Kanno is directing because of how good the music is. And I'm thinking, well, if I go from a musical angle, maybe I can find more stuff I really love. Because I was looking into it. There's a guy on YouTube and he was like, and he's like a professional jazz player, and he was looking at like the soundtracks from Watanabe and Yoko Kanno, and he was like, I can't believe this is inside an anime. This is insanely good jazz. And he was saying like some of the stuff he'd found. Apparently, there's a Gundam series called Gundam Thunderbolt, and it has one of the best jazz soundtracks out there. And I'm like, I guess I need to watch. I've never.
I've never
Last
heard of that.
week we were talking about Gundam, and I was saying I don't understand
Yes.
Gundam. I've never interacted with
Yeah.
Gundam at all. I'm thinking about just fucking
Gundam
watching
Pac-Man, by the
Gundam
way.
Thunderbolt, not for the mechs, not for the
Yeah.
animation, but for the jazz music inside the
That's
soundtrack,
interesting reason. Yeah.
like the battle jazz.
Yeah.
But yeah, also the really cool thing about Kids on the Slope is Watanabe was very specific. So you know, like when you have animations, like you'll show people standing still and animate on twos and stuff like that, where you just you cut budgets to be like, okay, he's kind of moving his hands around on the keys and he's kind of moving his hands around on the drums, and it's probably an approximation of what he's playing.
Yeah.
Kids on the Slope is 100% accurate. I'm not kidding you. Every single thing they play is 100% accurate to how you would play it in real life, and it is so you have to watch it. It's so amazing.
That's gotta be expensive though.
Yeah, but it adds that, like, the stuff I love about like Watanabe's world is like they feel like real worlds where people live. Like I love like the cowboy of like Cowboy Bebop, where it's just about a bunch of guys who are always broke, looking for work, just trying to scrape by. They're really scrappy, and they just feel like he creates such like interesting worlds where people live, and you just get engrossed in that world, and you just like you want to be there, and you want to observe it, and you want to experience it, right? Which I think is amazing. Kids on the Slope as well. It's completely different to the sort of stuff I would watch. And also, it's like, and the sort of stuff that Watanabe does as well. Because, like, Cowboy Bebop and Space Dandy are both, like, super... And Samurai Champloo are all, like, action. It's just, like, action-packed, fight scenes, this. Kids on the Slope is a complete, like, coming-of-life romance story with jazz music. So it's not, like, the normal stuff that I would eat. Like, if you said to me, like, a couple of years ago, do you want to watch, like, a slice of life anime that's about like romantic people falling in love and it's about jazz music, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But now I'm like, look, it's the year of Japan. I'm just going to try shit, and I've found stuff I really love. And I think my plan is to I'm just going to keep watching Watanabe shows. So I've started watching Terror and Resonance, which is another show he made with music from Yoko Kanno, and I'm on about episode 7 of that now, and it's interesting. I can't say I love it as much as his other work so far. I'm very confused. The only thing I can compare it to that I've watched is Death Note, because it's about... So I'll tell you the first episode. It's about some high school kids who start blowing up buildings. That's like the first episode. So I'm just like, what the... Why are they going around doing... Because I think its English title is Terror in Tokyo. Like, they're going around Tokyo blowing up buildings, and there's this whole mystery behind it. Like, they were in this weird institute as kids, and they're getting back at someone for some reason. So it's like, it's a big mystery as why they're doing it, and people are getting mixed up in it and stuff like that. But yeah, that's an interesting show. I can't say I love the soundtrack on that one so far, because it's not as distinct as, like, you know, Cowboy Bebop's Kids on the Slope is like jazz, Cowboy fucking Space Dandy is like disco, electronic, and then like Samurai Champloo is like hip hop. But like, yeah, so far it's
less of a style, or less.
It's definitely
like
interesting, because
locked in.
I just kept looking up stuff he made, and I was like, okay, there was like this show called Maricross Plus or Macro Cross Plus. Was that Macross Plus? It was like a film from the 1995 is part of another anime that was worked on. I was like, yeah, I'll just watch it. I mean, I've just got nothing to lose at this point. I'm just trying stuff out, which I think is like a really freeing thing to be like. I never would have looked at this stuff before, but now I'm just like, I've really connected with a specific, I don't know, like a director or like a music genre, and I'm just like, man, I want to check out more of this, right? Because like I was thinking maybe after I'm finished, because taking it from an angle of like, I'm going to take a director and watch all of his films, because I like the direction I'm seeing. Because that's a good way to get into certain films. Like I've watched, or if you like, you pick an actor. Like I've seen like almost every single Eddie Murphy film, and it started like accidentally because I started putting on Eddie Murphy films to annoy my family. Cause I was like, oh, a lot of the new Eddie Murphy films are awful. But I started running out of bad films, and then I started watching like Golden Child and Coming to America and Beverly Hill Cop. I watched the new Beverly Hill Cop actually recently. It is okay, but it's a lot of nostalgia bait.
It's okay. It's a good
It's not
review.
awful, but I don't know how many times you can play the Axel F theme in slight different variations without,
Yeah.
it wearing out. It's like, oh, it's the slow paced, sad Axel F theme. Duh, 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 duh,
Yeah, I would
duh.
like I would like more different things, not just the same thing.
And I feel like Judge Reinhold is
Coming up.
reining it in. I saw Judge Reinhold in. Okay, one of my guilty pleasures is Hallmark Christmas films they show on Channel 5 in the UK.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's something I know about. Yeah.
basically, they spend the entire budget getting one recognizable person.
Yes.
And then they're like,
Yes.
shit, we have to make the rest of the film now. And I remember Judge Reinhold was in one of those. And even though he's in that film, he's barely in the film.
He charges a lot of money then.
He's walking it in for sure.
Right. Okay. I don't know. What's he most famous for?
Beverly Hills Cop. He's also in. He's also the psychologist in the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. I don't know if you ever seen that Christmas film. I guess that's why they bought him on because they're like, oh, he's in the Santa Claus.
He's a Christmas.
I love the Santa Claus. That's one of my favorite Christmas films.
Yeah, I don't really watch Christmas films. Like I just kind of gave
the Santa Claus. It's really good because it's like a lot of Christmas films are for kids, but like Tim Allen in that film is makes a lot of like adult jokes that you would only understand more as an adult sort of thing, and it's like very funny. I don't know. But yeah, Tony, I
guess you chose.
I didn't give you a choice this week because I'm going nuts. No, I chose Kids on the Slope. I guess.
Oh, okay.
Dude, I watched the show in like a day because it's like 12. It's 12 episodes, and all I've been doing is just rewatching scenes and listening to music from the show. And when I was on YouTube, I was like, oh, I'll just find some of the music. Somebody had uploaded a playlist of every single episode, and I was like, well, I'll just find the song I like from episode 1 in this. And then I just watched the entire thing again. I was like, okay, I guess I'll just watch it again. It's that good. But I don't have many people I don't have many people I can trap and talk about this with. So I thought I would entrap you and force you to listen to me ramble about a 12-episode anime I watched that I loved. So
yeah, it sounds interesting, but it just didn't sound like it's something I would want to watch. So
that's what I thought, and then I watched it.
Well, I'm not.
You never know.
I nothing really is. I might give it a go, but I'm not. It's not on top of my list. I've got quite a long list of stuff I need to watch. Actually, it's been a few years since I've watched anything like that.
Yeah, I found I watch a lot more stuff like when I'm in bed. Is when I watch the most stuff. But then I get like I've been having like hip back problems for a while, so I found I watch a lot less stuff now. But when I lie down, I've been having issues, which is why I stopped watching stuff for a long time. But I've just been trying to just watch stuff whenever I can in other ways. But yeah. Should we move on to trailers?
Yeah.
Joe rants about how much he loves jazz through anime for 20 minutes. I just love jazz now. If you asked me when I was a kid, like I would say I didn't understand jazz, and then now as an adult, I fucking love jazz. I think it's like such an amazing genre. There are so many like genres now. Do you get this with music where you find you appreciate different genres or types of music as you've been getting older? Like I appreciate punk a lot more now. I think like punk. Like because I feel like punk's almost like
Um,
in a similar like jazz music is to classical music what punk was to rock, where it's just like
yeah,
it's like non-conformist versions of this. It's like it's not about like
I
it's like tactile music. It's like music you can feel.
I have a very different approach to music. Like I'm not a very like I feel like you could talk about like lots of different people in like music or like in even stuff you watch or like play. I'm not a very people person, so and so my music like reflects this as well. So I just
Yeah,
kind of just
I come in it more of like an
I just
emotional
follow
angle.
whatever.
I think
Right.
I love looking at like the people behind the music, the
I
emotions. Like
yeah
when you can feel somebody as they play an instrument in a song, and it's just
yeah.
like
Doesn't do anything for me.
like I was this I because a couple of years ago I was listening to Pharaoh Sanders, who's
Mhm.
he's a sax player, and I was listening to him because at the end of Ape Out they play his song you've got to have freedom, and it is
Yeah.
such like an expressive song. It's like 9 minutes long, like. And I found it through playing the video game because, like, literally the last because Ape Out's
Yeah.
about Ape escaping, and the entire soundtrack is like jazz, and but it is like it's this weird. It's from his album Africa, and it's this very like soul music. It's very expressive, almost like chaotic to a
Mhm.
way, and it's just like I could replay that music if I could play a saxophone, but I'd never be able to play it the way he played it. In a way, like every time you
Right.
play a song
Okay.
like that, you're playing it your own way. I don't know.
Yeah, I can appreciate. Yeah, I think a lot of music you can play in like lots of different ways. Like, I'm a massive fan of remixes. Like I YouTube. I mean, it makes sense. Like you can't just remix stuff like without licenses and stuff. I understand that. But back in like the cowboy days, I used to like search on YouTube for remixes and stuff, and a lot of those
I
comments would be
think a
very
lot of that
salty. Like
stuff.
this ruins the original.
I think a lot of that stuff moved over to SoundCloud now. I think SoundCloud is
Well,
more of the remix sort of
They,
Wild
I
West,
think they
right?
have proper licenses things going on to protect themselves. I don't actually know what they're doing, but they seem to be able to keep them up for longer. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, that's definitely yeah. I use SoundCloud to look at remixes nowadays, but I do it less often.
Well,
But no,
because the
I quite I like a lot of remixes. Like some people like say like it ruins it. Like it's not the point of the song. I'm like yeah, that's kind of the point of the remix. You can do whatever you like and like take like, well the creator can do whatever they like and take the bits they like and remix it. That's the whole point.
well, it's just like I've been saying before. Like I don't think game soundtracks get the
Yeah,
respect they deserve because there's some genuinely
yeah.
amazing ones out there. Anime
Yeah,
soundtracks,
I think that's fair.
they need some respect as
Yeah,
well
yeah.
because there's some really fucking good
Yeah.
ones out there. And
I think it shouldn't matter where they come from, yeah, it's just like,
that's
if they're good,
one thing I want to mention. I swear to God,
yeah,
we'll move on.
focus.
Um, Looking at stuff through a director, I have seen Spirited Away, but I've never watched any of the other Studio Ghibli stuff. I'm very
Okay.
tempted to just start watching Miyazaki stuff, so I'll watch like
Mhm. I
Howl's Moving
think
Castle. Is
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah, I think a lot of people
Princess
really like that stuff.
Yonoke or something like that? There's Ponyo. Did he do My Neighbor Totoro? Did he do that one as well?
I believe so, but I'm not an expert in it. I've only watched a couple of the stuff,
I've only
so
ever seen Spirited Away, but I know like even
right.
my friends who would be like, I hate anime, love Spirited Away. And I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
people give themselves an allowance to watch Studio Ghibli stuff because of how like it
Yes.
transcends the art. And I feel like there's a lot
Yes.
more stuff like that inside animation that
Yeah.
people are just ignoring. But it's
It
like I
I
find so many
I
people
often
get put up these barriers in front of themselves to say, I'm not
yeah, yeah.
supposed to be looking at this. This is a guilty pleasure. When I think like the concept of a
Yeah,
guilty
no,
pleasure
no
is
point.
really dumb. You should just enjoy what you enjoy.
Yes, 100%. What I think as well is like I think because especially in the Western media, like we have a point of like animation isn't really like it's kind of clinical at this point in films and stuff. Like it's nice to have things where you can still express yourself. Like I think Japan still probably has a lot of that still going. So it's nice that there's still studios that exist like that.
Yeah. We have to move on, or I'll
I
start
can't remember.
talking about like how
Yeah,
I
yeah.
learned
I can't
about
remember if I finished.
how I learned about Edo period Japan through Samurai Champloo.
No, no. But I can't remember if I finished my point of my music. But yeah, I think
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
move
go
on.
on,
It's
go on.
fine.
No, no, no.
Well, I don't remember what my point of how far I got,
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't remember what the point
I
was.
was trying to stop myself rambling. I wasn't trying to stop you rambling.
Right. No, let's just be on. It's fine. I'll
Okay.
redo the timestamp.
Yeah. Have a timestamp of let's move on and just kidding.
No,
Joe talks more about
I'm just
jazz.
destroying that one. No, I'm destroying it. It's continuation of
Okay.
Joe's music.
I guess, yeah. I would love to talk about more music. I I said I was going to move on, but I have been listening to a bunch of albums that came out in 2023 that I missed, and I've been going over some of the music I didn't get to listen to, and yeah, I'd love to have someone to just to talk with a long form about music, because I find people don't have like very long takes on music, and are just quite vapid with it, and just like, yeah, it was an okay song sort of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's. But is that just because like you think this song is really good and then other people don't think it's really good? Like I feel like people who really like a song will can speak at length about it. Too long, if you ask me.
No, but like sometimes, like psychologist Jesse from Hellblade, he's
Hmm.
literally studied music, and I feel like I try and talk to him
Yeah,
about something we both like, and he's just like, ah, yeah, it's whatever. I'm just like, okay, I
I think
guess
that
not.
I think that might be a psychologist problem,
Yeah,
or
okay.
maybe it's more specific than that. I don't know. But I don't really have like I have a very weird, as I was saying before, like, I have a very weird thing with music. It's just that I just kind of go with what it is. I don't follow specific people. I just kind of
Well, to Tangerine and not move on, I
make them.
find not many people listen to albums, where I listen to
No,
lots of albums.
yeah, I don't. I find myself going, yeah, they have one good song on this album. Why would I buy the whole album? Or this artist has like two good songs. That's kind of my a lot of time.
Well,
That's my
whenever I
like.
listen to a good,
Linkin Park is like the only exception to that. Like I like what they put out all the time, and I like all of their albums minus one. So it's like okay, that's like the one exception.
because I was saying the other day about vinyl records, and I was like, I would like to
Yes.
collect vinyl records, not because I want to listen to vinyls, but because it would be really cool to have like a actual art
I
piece of albums I
yeah,
really enjoy.
the actual the actual art on like to be clear, you're talking about the art on the literal record itself because there's technically people who collect it for the art on the actual packaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Like, it's a good art piece. Yeah, it's a good shape. I can appreciate that.
But I also understand
Art is very
it would be
subjective.
really expensive. Vinyls are super
Well, it's like
expensive.
£50 for an artwork or like an art on a record sort of style thing. So you can
Mm.
get blank ones, which are cheaper but still
Well,
expensive. So
because I was like, maybe I'll grab some of my favorite albums, and I looked up because you can get
yeah,
Demon Days on vinyl by Gorillaz, and it was like £35 for vinyl. I was like, oh, that's okay. But then I looked at some of their other albums, and you could also because they also do them on CD, and I was like, I don't want CDs. I don't know, like it's still artwork on a music form, but I feel like
yeah,
I don't know vinyls are definitely a
not the
lot
same.
bigger, and it's like I
Yeah,
wouldn't want a CD, but even it though I'm not
yeah.
listening to it, I'm like, oh, I don't want a CD, but a
Well,
vinyl.
yeah, but you're looking now at the actual shape of it and the form of it. Like, how is it? I guess almost how it's framing the artwork on it, and like it's kind of a part of the art itself. So I think that's a fair. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want a CD a piece of artwork either. I think
Well,
it
CDs got
looks
more
cool
popular
on a
because of
vinyl.
Taylor Swift, right? She started doing
Hmm.
CDs again, and then people were like, oh, I need CDs again.
She she does vinyls and artwork specific vinyls as well.
I think didn't she do a thing where she made a CD, but it had slightly different artwork on it, and if you put four of them together, it
Yes,
made one poster. So you had to buy four different of the same
if you
CDs in order
want
to get it.
if you want the full artwork, but I would argue this: you don't need what someone else thinks is the complete thing. You can get what you like.
Maybe I just need to get posters. Maybe I need to
Yeah,
print off posters. I
get
don't
some
know.
artwork. Get some get some actual artwork things with the same artwork.
But I would like
That
to
that normally
have a
exists.
physical thing I could hold. I don't know. That's
Yeah,
like the thing we're
yeah,
getting
yeah.
further and further away from.
Yeah. I can appreciate that. Like something like tangible and like you just like not fiddle with, but like you can like
Oh, I'm always fiddling with
yeah.
things. If I have
But
something on my
artwork you can
desk,
like
I'm
physically touch is I think cool. So
like the game. Please touch the artwork.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we watch a trailer?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is. So have you ever heard of the game? There's like a game called Plastic Duck, and it's literally
No.
like a duck simulator. Here it is, and it's literally just you get a bunch of little rubber duckies, and you can see them floating on a pool, and you can get different versions of them. It feels like a real Michael game, I would say. Spawn retorts.
Okay. Okay.
And as I say that, I go on the store page, and Michael owns this game, and he's played 69 minutes of Placid Plastic Duck Simulator. But
thank God
they taken this game, and we now have Plastic Deck, A Quiet Quest, which looks like somebody took the aesthetic of plastic ducks and made an inscription game out of it, which looks absolutely nuts. Which I like a turn-based deck builder with some RPG stuff going on, and I'm like, man, this looks really interesting. But it's currently we don't know when this is coming out. Basically, it's been announced, but there's no release date. They did another trailer for a Plucky Squire, and I watched it, and I was like, oh yeah, this looks really good. Is this the announcement of the release date? And they were like, the release date is coming soon. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, how long is it going to take to get a Plucky Squire release date? It's coming this year. Like, when are we going to know it's going to come out, you know?
Well, is it coming this year?
Yeah, they said 2024. Okay. And they said they're ready to announce the release date soon. But I'm like, this is right up my alley. It's 2D, 3D platformer by Devolver.
Yeah.
Published. And looks really good. Another thing, because like I'm going to be talking about Game Pass later, and my friend was like, "Oh, I'm thinking about canceling Game Pass because it's getting more expensive." And I was like,
"Yeah,
but there is stuff I want to play on Game Pass that's coming out." And he's like, "When is it coming out?" And I'm like, "I wanted to play the Indiana Jones game, and I wanted to play Avowed from Obsidian." And he's like, "Yeah, but when's that coming out?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, wait, both of these huge announcements from Microsoft still don't have release dates, but are said to be coming sometime this year."
I don't believe it until I see it. That's what I'm going to say on that front. But yeah, we can we can get into that later, I guess.
But yeah, Plastic Duck, A Quiet Quest looks really cool, and it's coming out at some point. Then we have Party Animals, the co-op, like Gang Beasts, like jelly physics fighting simulator. It's getting a brand new map where it looks like they're adding an entirely new like kart racing game to inside the game. Like the thing I always thought looked interesting with this game was they had like that Gang Beast style combat, but they also had like genuine like games, other mini games inside of the game, which I think was really, really cool. The only thing I don't like about this game is, one, they released it on Game Pass, but only the console version, which I'm like, why can't I play this as a PC player? And number two, there's no local multiplayer, so I couldn't load this up on a Steam Deck and play it with my friends.
Oh, that sucks.
So I don't have it on Game Pass, and there's not too much reason for me to buy it on Steam. But the game looks cool, which sucks. Then we have, Tony, remember I was like, there's some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games coming out. They've announced another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. So
another one. Okay.
This one looks like the art style of that new films that just came out. Was it the Seth Rogen did them?
Was it? Okay, I can't remember who keep track of it. Yeah.
Let me have a look. I think he directed them, right? Am I making that up? Let me check IMDb so I'm not lying. He wrote it. Okay, so Seth Rogen was the writer behind the newest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle films. But I remember people said it was good because they got actual kids to play the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They didn't get adults to pretend to be kids. They were like, let's just get a bunch of kids and having no idea what to do as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we'll get actual like kids to play them, like teenagers sort of thing. Which I think like having the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as teenager kind of fits their whole like aesthetic, especially like a Michelangelo style
Yeah,
for sure.
I still think it depends on the writing. I think and the directing of the said kids.
Mm.
I think you can still miss.
I think it was well received. I think people really liked the art style of
Yeah,
this
so
films as well because it was
yeah,
similar
yeah, yeah.
to what they
I
did
saw a lot of the
with
art style.
was it the new uh, Puss in Boots film? Was it that had this very like
Oh yeah, they had the
animated style?
yeah, how do you describe the styles? I don't know. Is there a word for it?
Yeah, what is it called? It's Spider Verse did this as well, right?
Hmm.
It
Something similar.
2.5D. It was like a painterly style. But yeah,
Yeah, I guess a game in that style, all that. I guess are they maybe the same characters? Like, is it like a
story wise,
continuation?
I have no idea what's going on. I know that it's
I've
a.
not seen them, so the
I haven't
actual
seen the film either, so I don't know.
yeah.
But it's a two-player local co-op only game. From is what we know
Okay.
about this game. Did I mention that the other Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate game? This was the Hades-like game that was an Apple Arcade exclusive. And I mentioned, oh, it's coming to Switch, which was like, that's cool. I'd want to play it on Steam as well. It's coming to Steam as well. I don't know if I mentioned
Oh,
this,
nice.
but it's a
No
co-op
date.
Hades like hack and slash game. So I'm interested to try this one. It looks pretty cool. Um, then we have. Oh, did you see the trailer for Emio on Nintendo? I'll see if I can find the
No,
original
I don't.
trailer because it got a lot of like buzz on the internet because
No, I don't think I saw it.
and I'll send you the trailer. It was so strange to see a content warning followed by the like Nintendo logo. I
Hmm.
don't because this was very confusing. Because they just put out this teaser trailer, right? And we had no idea. I was like, is Nintendo making a horror game? Like this is so like off-brand for Nintendo. Like they almost never do like anything like more adult themed.
Yeah.
They just showed like a creepy man in like a smiling paper bag, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" They put out more information about it recently. Turns out it's a new release of an old Famicom game called the Famicom Detective Club, and it's
Okay.
a like visual novel sort of detective-y game sort of thing. Because I
Right.
think people reached out to comment from Bloober Team were like, "Are you making a horror game for Nintendo?" And they're like, "No, we're not making a horror game for Nintendo." Um, but it seems like they've got like one of the original directors to come back and work on the game as well. I've never heard of Famicom Detective Club,
No,
so this is my
I no, never
exposure to the
heard of it.
game. Um, but I think they did a remaster of some of the older games from the Famicom recently, and it seems like they wanted to make a new one in the series. And it's interesting to see a Switch game with like dark themes. I think that's what's the most interesting about this. Like Nintendo are very
Yeah, I
protective over
guess.
what they put on their console.
Yeah.
At
They
least
played Doom on
historically.
their console, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they did allow Doom. Um, and they have I think you can get some third party horror games on the Switch maybe. Horror I mean Nintendo made Zombie U for the Wii U, the scariest game of all time. So,
Yeah.
do you remember Zombie
Yeah.
U?
Yeah, I do. I
Right.
think it
So
seems a
look,
bit
oh, you can
junky.
play Alien Isolation on the Switch. Okay, I take it. Nintendo allows horror games on their platform. I take it all. Like I type horror games on Nintendo Switch, it comes up with the Luigi's Mansion 3. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah. That's
that's a
what that's
terrifying
what I
game.
expect. Yeah. I mean, Luigi was scared. That's what I'm gonna say.
We got a brand new trailer for the new Diablo 4 expansion. They have officially announced the new class. It is a
Oh,
Spiritborn, which is
what?
a brand new class that has not been made before.
Okay, no, I'm not. Okay, I wasn't missing something that an old thing, and then okay.
I was hoping for Witch Doctor. Everyone else was hoping for like a Paladin or something like that. Basically, this seems like a mixture of like monk and a little bit of like druid. So basically, you're like a very fast moving, like melee focus, like very like quick spiritual focus class. Then you have like these different spirits that you commune with. So you have like an eagle spirit, which when you commune with these different spirits, they change up how you play. So eagle is more like movement orientated abilities. Jaguar seems to be like more fire abilities. There's a centipede, which obviously you have centipede abilities. I thought the
What's
centipede looks cool. Like you could send out these like giant centipedes out the ground to attack people. That looks really, really cool. And then the gorilla spirit is more like a tank class sort of thing. I guess centipede's more like a spellcaster, is what I would say.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, I was surprised how much. I think the centipede one was the one I was like, oh, that looks really, really cool. Because usually when I play these sort of games, I'm like, I just want to go as fast as possible. So I'll pick like the eagle or the fast moving one. Like mobility is king in these sort of games. But I actually thought like the centipede looked really, really cool.
Yeah, centipede looks cool.
Will I be playing this? Probably. I think the expansion is going to cost £35. So I'm like, maybe I don't need to play this, and I can maybe pick it up on a sale at some point if it goes cheap. Is my current thinking with this one. I'm not gonna do the release day mistake with Diablo 4 and spend like I think it was like fucking £60 or something like that.
It wasn't a £70 one then. It was actually
Not for me because I didn't pay for early access.
Okay, thank God.
I waited those like 2 days, and I was like, yeah, I didn't need to play this 2 days early. Tony, there's a new update for that game called No Man's Sky. Have you ever played this?
Well, it's funny you should mention it. It's is this update isn't out yet, right? Like,
No,
I'm
it's
so
out now.
confused.
I was also
It is out
confused
now.
because I was like, this looks amazing. And I played No Man's Sky yesterday. And I was like, nowhere looked like this. There's like luscious
Yeah.
grass, blades, and stuff like that. I think a
water
lot of the
wasn't doing what
planets
it's
we've been
supposed
on
to
are not this new procedural generation.
Right. So it's like select new stuff.
I literally went into the options of No Man's Sky earlier and I was like, do I have the options turned down? And I was like, no, everything's an ultra. So I should be able to, like, my game should look like this, but I haven't seen anything in game that looks like this yet. But some of the stuff they've changed, they've added way more fauna, volumetric clouds, like wind effects, so like weather is much more immersive. A bunch of like quality of life and systematic stuff that I haven't experienced.
The water changes seem like quite big. Like it seems like having like tidal.
The water rendering were like
wave-based water.
Yeah, I thought the water. We saw how the water had changed yesterday. I thought the water.
Yeah,
quite
we didn't
good.
see tides or moving water, so I'm just wondering maybe it was just like a static world we're on.
They're showing you fighting this giant like new beetle with a gun, and I'm like, I don't even have a fucking gun. Where do you get a gun from? Like I'm so far behind in. I'm so far behind in all the updates in No Man's Sky that I'm like half of this stuff is probably like been in the game forever, and I'm just like I have no idea. So I think the idea was because they announced their new game Light No Fire, Sean and the Hello Games guys, and I think they developed a bunch of new tech for this game, like the volumetric clouds and the water rendering. And I think essentially what they did was like, well, we could just backport a bunch of this into No Man's Sky, and it would look a lot better. So they decided to do that for the 5.0 update. How nuts is it that Sean Murray went from the most hated man on the internet who released a unfinished buggy game to possibly one of the best long-term developers of all time of just like completely fixing the game?
Well, it turns out he had a peer
over
Molyneux
8
vision, but
years.
he was willing to stick with it, and that's what really that puts you apart from peer Molyneux. Like you actually sticking to your guns if you've made the money.
Yeah. But the
So I
beautification
do
of
appreciate that.
No Man's Sky is continuing. Here it is, the 5.0 update.
One day we might see it in our game, but
Yeah.
not yet.
Well, I saw a flash of like a toxic planet, and I'm like, I've been on Toxic Tony's planet, so
I did decide to put a base on a toxic fungus planet.
so just a quick aside. In No Man's Sky, you can choose to build your base anywhere.
Yeah.
Andy chose to build his base on a radioactive planet with sentinels.
Yes. That's uranium on though.
You have toxic planet that's constantly raining toxic rain from the sky, and you have sentinels that attack you if you try and mine stuff. I'm living on a fucking M-class planet. I'm on a paradise planet. I'm just like, there's no sentinels, there's no acid rain, there's no rain. I don't have to use my hazard shields because there's no hazards on the planet.
You said it might get rainy sometimes.
It rains sometimes.
That's what I get.
Non-toxic rain.
That's crazy.
It's one of those oxygen-rich planets.
Yeah, that's insane.
Let's move on to releases. So the first release we have is Angerfoot. This is a game I've been waiting for a while. Ever since I played the demo for it. I think it was last Next Fest, maybe last year's. I've been waiting for this for a while, but I haven't picked it up yet because I have just so fucking many games in my backlog right now. I'm currently playing Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, and then I've started playing No Man's Sky as well. So I'll get round to it at some point, but I'm trying not to buy lots of games. So I'm probably not going to pick this one up just yet. But it looks really good. I've heard it is very much, like a 3D Hotline Miami, and from what I played of the demo, it's really fun. So that's what people are saying. Close enough. Welcome back, Hotline Miami, somebody said in all caps. A room exploded and they twerked to me. Yeah, the enemies do twerk on you when you die. I remember that from the demo. They just, all the enemies are, dancing to the music, and they keep dancing when you die. Footline Miami. Brilliant game, easy to pick up and play for a few minutes, but also can sit down and play it for hours. Runs very well. You won't spend any time waiting for it to load or anything like that. Fun twists and turns through the environment. Gameplay is smooth and satisfying. It's a good challenge if you're looking to complete everything. It has become one of my favorite games I've ever played. Yeah. Well, I will pick this up because I really liked the demo. Jassault, Steam and Cinder. I think this is a new Metroidvania that came out, inspired by 16 and 32-bit classics. It fuses tight 2D platforming and exhilarating combat with an engrossing twist-laden narrative in a stunning handcrafted steampunk world. Let's have a look what people are saying. Top reviewers not recommended this. Have a look at this. Okay, let's start off by saying, to be fair, the mechanics of the game are fine. It's a solid, competent Metroidvania title. Though if you're someone who doesn't really care about plot or writing, then this will probably bore you to death with the endless dialogue. Because it is much a narrative game as an action platformer, the story is woven throughout the whole game, and it's just as much a focus on the gameplay, which is why when the story is taken out back behind the shed and shot in the last 90 seconds, it devalues the entire rest of the game. Mass Effect 3 wishes it could kill a story this well. I guess people are saying it's a pretty competent Metroidvania, but this person doesn't seem to enjoy the story that much. This apparently, it seems like the ending being unsatisfying is a common theme from the reviews. Clear they're leaving it open-ended for a sequel, maybe a DLC. It's not too expensive, but it's a bit short at 9 to 10 hours.
I mean, as someone who's experienced Mass Effect 3's ending, I would wish it had an open ending. That to me is a godsend compared to Mass Effect 3, which is just, no, fuck you. You can't continue what happens in this universe because we want to keep
I've never played
open, but also closed.
I've almost never played a Mass Effect game, and I know the ending of Mass Effect 3 is essentially a choice between 3 different colors, right? Or is it 2 different colors?
Yeah, but I don't know how much you want to get into it, but yeah, I would
I won't
argue
get
that
into
you don't know
it.
what fucking happened, so it's not even a choice of that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, let's move on. Dead by Daylight Tomb Raider chapter. Lara Croft is now a survivor in Dead by
wait,
Daylight.
who's the killer?
Sometimes they do chapters with only killers, and sometimes they do chapters with only
What?
survivors. Yeah, so
Okay,
this is just Lara Croft.
okay. I mean, that's a huge survival.
Like, I think for Evil Dead, like, Ash is just a survivor by himself, I believe. Like, for example,
Okay.
and then I think is it Ghost? Is Ghostface just a just himself, or did they put someone in there? I don't actually remember. I think Ghostface might just be a killer. Yeah, I think
Right.
Ghostface is just like they do split them up. There's some examples off the top of my head. Um, Somebody says triangle boob Lara Croft skin when question mark. I've been saying this for a while, but like
It's a huge
Dead by
question.
Daylight is like low key kind of the Smash Bros game of PC. It's
Oh yeah,
becoming like it's sort
yeah,
of it's almost evolving out of just like the horror Smash Bros, and it's now just becoming like the multimedia game. I mean, like it's not like Fortnite is obviously like the multi-platform game
yeah.
on PC, but like somebody says here, Dead by Daylight is the only game where you can escape from the Demogorgon on Raccoon City map while playing Lara Croft. It's like, yeah, that's true. That's pretty true.
Yeah.
Getting
Like,
more horror
it's a very
adjacent
unique
license.
game.
He says getting more horror adjacent licenses means that we can't rule out the possibility of Hatsune Miku. Okay.
Uh, yeah, I think it starts to make sense though. I think adjacent, emphasis on adjacent.
I mean, one of the killers they put into the game was one of their original creations, and he was like a K-pop singer was like his whole thing. So,
Right.
I mean, Hatsune Miku's like a Vocaloid singer, right? That's her thing.
I still think it has to make sense for what's going on, but if you can make it make sense, sure.
I'm not seeing anyone reviewing the
No negative.
actual.
Oh,
Everyone's just saying I love Lara Croft, but no one's actually saying if the character is any
how does it
good.
work? Right.
Let's have a look.
Make you
Finesse.
feel like Lara.
Your fast vaults are faster when healthy, with a cooldown after the successful use. When you open a chest and cleanse or bless a totem, Harden activates for the duration of the trial. For that point, every time you scream, you instead reveal the killer's aura. Oh, that's cool. Specialist. When you open or rummage through a chest, gain 1 token up to 6. When you do a great skill check, consume a token to reduce the max required generator progress. Oh, I like how her perks are like based around like looting chests, because that's like, oh, there's tomb
Yeah.
raiding. And she's
Yeah.
also she vaults faster because she's been running around those tombs. So yeah, that's pretty on
Yeah.
it. That's pretty accurate.
Makes sense. Yeah. Parkour master.
Nobody wants to die. I saw this trailer recently. I was like, this looks really interesting, but it's like a heavy narrative game. So it's lose yourself in the dystopian world of New York 2329. Immortality comes at a price that someone has to pay. In this interactive noir story, the investigation using advanced technology is Detective James Carroll, who risks it all in pursuit of a serial killer targeting the city's elite. This is one of those games where I saw like the cinematic trailer and I was like, oh, this looks really cool, but it's one of those games where like the cinematic sort of like narrative stuff looks really cool, but I'm like, how does it actually play? And I wasn't sure. Like,
Yeah.
it seems like you were a hard-boiled detective in this like noir cyberpunk future where you were seeing visions of like people from your past and stuff like that. I guess it's mainly going to be like a detective, like almost like 3D point and clicky sort of style, I guess. I'm not sure. Let's read the
Yeah.
reviews.
I guess it'd be like some set piece stuff as well, is what
Interactive
I'm
fiction. I
seeing.
mean, I'm
Yeah.
not against like. I mean, The Outer Wilds is one of my favorite games of all time, and that's essentially a 3D detective game where you just fly around looking for clues.
Hmm. Is told in a very unique way though.
Let's look at the top review. I love the atmosphere and art direction of the game, but that's where the quality ends. In my playthrough, the narrative logic felt fairly incoherent, and the thematics were unfocused and unexplored. Despite being a detective game, basically, the logic was weak. From the micro, the cinematic flow, to the macro, the plot, and I don't believe this is purposeful by the designers. Like, say, if they wanted to show the player character was dissonant with reality, I don't believe this because of the detective framing. The narrative was pushing you to feel like you were onto something, but it felt more like a chain of and thens rather than but thens. If you heard that heuristic before, if the incoherency was indeed purposeful, we're really pulling out the thesaurus for this one. The narrative failed to play with that dynamic. Either way, the lack of systematic gameplay and heavy use of scripted scenes really excavated. I don't even know what this word means. This person has swallowed a dictionary. Past tense.
Yeah, maybe just love detective games.
Exacerbate is to make. So I'll listen to it.
Exacerbate.
Oh, exacerbate. I have heard that word before.
Exacerbate.
Exacerbate. Make a problem, bad situation worse. Okay. This guy doesn't like the game. Oh my god, is this the kind of people who play the stylish noir detective? That's not even how you spell noir in this altered carbon-like world. You've watched that show, haven't you?
Yes, I really like the first season of Altered Carbon. The second season is alright. I think I still recommend it. Yeah, I was saying Altered Carbon, the whole thing is like, yeah, they've got technology to like maybe not or help prevent death.
I need to find someone reviewing this game purely from the gameplay perspective to see if it's worth playing. There is only one mechanic, detective work, like the rewind system in Cyberpunk, and it gets old fast. Okay.
Yeah,
maybe not for me.
Interesting though. I think I'm willing to let that slide. I think I'll check this out.
Came out the 17th. Then we have another game that came out the 17th. Bo, Path of the Teal Lotus, another Metroidvania precision platforming game.
Oh, so this isn't a Face of Bo tie-in.
No, it's not Doctor Who inspired like the Magic the Gathering cards. Somebody says, please give the game a cloud save support. It's 2024. It surprises me how many games release in current year without cloud saves. It's such a ubiquitous feature with games these days that when a game doesn't have it, I'm like, what the fuck is... Notoriously, Tony, Ubisoft games do not have cloud save support, and it really fucking pisses me off.
That makes no sense. Yeah, that makes no sense. I'm just thinking, if it's a smaller dev team, like a newer dev team, or like a lone dev, like maybe they know how to do it. I can understand that.
One of my favorite platforming games is Rayman Origins, and I always go back and play it at some point because I'm like, oh, I never finished that and I want to play more of it because it's a great platforming game. But I always end up having to play the entire game again because I'm like, well, I don't have the cloud save. It has no Steam Cloud support, and I haven't backed up random saves for this game on my computer.
Yeah.
So,
and there's no standard how PC games save stuff, which pisses me off as well.
Somebody said it's like Okami and Hollow Knight met up and had a baby together. If you're a fan of Okami, you must play this game. Seems like I've never played Okami. I don't even know what this is. Is that the game where you play as a dog? I'm gonna look this up.
Is it?
I feel like you play as a dog in Okami, but I don't know why. Okami HD. It's a game when you play as a dog. I have briefly seen this, but I don't know what the hell it's about. It's like a very stylized, like, is it hack and slash almost?
Right.
Adventure,
like
mythology. Kitsune, yeah. Sumi-e ink art style. Anyway. Yeah, this looks cool. People seem to like it. Somebody said, pretty good up until the Hashishime boss fight. There's a long and frustrating part where you have to cross a bridge. It only took a few minutes, but even one missed jump and you have to start over. Then the boss fight after that takes way too long. It's very predictable and pretty easy, but if you spend 90% of the fight dodging and only have a small attack window where you can attack. During these attack phases, you can get 3-4 hits in, and you have to do this about 20 to 30 times. I got bored and gave up. Somebody says you can pet the Great Kitsune.
Okay.
Doesn't seem particularly long from the reviews that people are doing, but 10 hours to finish, somebody said. Okay. Yeah, it seems okay. Might give it a go. What's next? Oh, Dungeons of Hinterberg. This is one that's also on Game Pass. And this is a adventure action RPG fantasy exploration. I think it's sort of like... It's more about like going to a town and interacting with the people there, almost like... I want to say almost like Persona-esque, where it's more about like relationships. I'm going to read the reviews though and see what they say. This game is amazing. I wish Austria was real.
Yeah.
Short hike plus Zelda. I love it. Excellent game, just enough action to keep you engaged, but not very challenging graphics. A cartoon-like and pleasant, characters are likable, the atmosphere is more relaxed, and music keeps you focused. Recommend if you want to have a good time instead of a grueling experience like a Souls game. So far, it feels like a mix between 3D Zelda, My Time at Porsche, and Persona. If you're keen with the playstyle, it's quite easy, even off tough mode. I suggest to not buy potions equipment to have a challenge with the battles. Some of the characters are super quirky, and I don't feel like befriending them, and just do it for the rewards. I wasn't gonna look at this one, but given that it's on Game Pass, I might actually check this one out. Like, if people are saying it's almost Persona-like and it's almost Zelda-y, those are games that I very much enjoy. So maybe I'll have to check this one out. Flintlock Siege of Dawn. This is from the creators of Ashen, and it's another Souls Light game. Did they also do another game that I'm thinking of? A44 Games. But yeah, this one's also on Game Pass. I have this downloaded and I plan on playing it because I didn't play the demo because I knew I was going to play it on Game Pass. One thing I have to point out before I have fun with the game. Unfortunately, I can't recommend the game without remorse. It feels the developer ran out of money in the end. The audio is not balanced out. Loud NPCs, quiet NPCs, no spatial sound from NPCs talking next to you. The core system has potential, movement, fighting, skill system. There are quite a few things that are fun to play: shooting, the musket, changing between ranged and close combat, immediately traversing the world. But number two, overall, it just feels not finished. I'm not talking about polished. There are a lot of parts and mechanics in the game where you realize they are not implemented well or well put into the game just to fill the space. Shops, the gambling game. I'm sad to give it a thumbs down, but I think this game could and should be more. Nevertheless, I would recommend it for a sale. So, I plan to play this. I haven't played it yet because I'm still playing Final Fantasy and also starting other games I shouldn't be starting. And I plan to play this on release, and so also my friend psychologist Jesse, who's on Game Pass, he's played this, and I spoke to him yesterday or the day before about it. So I was like, "Oh, what do you think about the game?" And I think he said similar things. He was basically like, "Yeah, it kind of feels like it's unpolished. Like it's this big open world, but there's not much in the world. Like the combat and the traversal feels pretty good, but it's kind of empty, which is a shame because I was looking forward to this one." But I think I'll still check it out and give it a go. If I'm not gonna commit to completing it, but I might load it up and give it a go. And then we finally have Kunitsu Gami, Path of the Goddess, which is a fucking weird game from Capcom, which is also on Game Pass, which is why I was thinking about playing it. But it is a Japanese-inspired single-player Kagura action strategy game. It's like a strategy, sort of like tower defense game, but with like hack and slash mechanics as well. Like I gotta read the reviews for this one because I'm very confused by this one. If you want to have the experience of playing an obscure PS2 game you never heard of and found at a rental in the back of a Blockbuster and spend an awesome weekend playing it and wondering why more people don't know about it, this is it, okay. If you describe a game like a a awesome PS2 game that's super obscure, that immediately makes me want to play it because I'm like, I love the experimental phase of the PS2 genre of games. There is so many
Mm.
weird, wacky games out there that just
Yes.
nobody makes anymore. Um,
Yeah, it's
because I'm
kind of lost
generally,
experimental phase and
I
trying
was
to
not
like
sure about this one
use.
because I'm not a big fan of like strategy, and even I loved tower defense games when I played them in Warcraft 3, like custom games, but I kind of fell out of love with tower defense games in general.
Yeah, I kind of I like some of them, but yeah, they
But
mostly get
I'm
old quite
interested to give
quickly.
this one a go, I think. And it is another Japanese game. It's made by Capcom themselves, so Japanese developed Japanese game. So I'll have to give that one. I have to carry on the Euro Japan tourney by um,
Mm-hmm.
playing more Japanese games. I'm playing my first Final Fantasy game. They just happen to be really fucking long, and I'm gonna watch
Yes.
more anime from the land of Nihon. And yeah, but that's the end of releases for this week. So let's move on to quick news. The makers of RPG Maker and Pixel Game Maker have announced a new engine. The Action Game Maker built on top of Godot's open source engine, which is cool to see that
Interesting. Yeah.
they're doing it on top of a engine. So if you don't know, this is not the first time they created a new engine on top of an existing one. Last year, they released RPG Maker Unite, which was a terrible implementation of RPG Maker built on the Unity game engine. Hopefully, this effort goes better than that one because, like, I feel like Unity is like the go-to for like cheap, quick, like easy to make, like low resource intensive games, and
Yeah.
that's sort of like the whole thing of RPG Maker was. It's like this very streamlined, like focused way to be like, hey, you want to quickly make a game in this specific genre? Here's a tool that allows you to do that very quickly. I think like famous games. I think Lisa the Painful is made in RPG Maker. I think. Let me look it up.
Sounds
Games
right.
made in RPG Maker. Yeah, Lisa the Painful is made in RPG Maker. So yeah,
Mm.
there's a big game that is a really cool game, and they used RPG Maker because it was an easy way to streamline the process of creating the game. Apparently, Tony, they also did a visual novel maker, which I read people were not
Right.
happy about, but I cannot comment on because I have never interacted with RPG Maker's visual novel maker, so I have no idea
No.
why people liked it or
Sounds
didn't like
weird.
it.
I don't know how that would work or how that would even
But I think it's an obvious
help.
choice to like. I feel like Godot is the open source alternative to Unity now that Unity is in
Yes.
shitificated itself.
Yes, yeah, 100%. I've seen a lot of stuff with it.
But hopefully it goes better than their last attempt because it seems like people didn't like their last Unity attempt. So that's interesting. Riot Games was working on a unannounced Smash Brothers game called Pool Party, which is basically like a platform fighter with League of Legends characters. Which to me, I'm like, log in. That sounds really cool. Like the way
Yeah,
I
yeah,
connect with fighting games is I love platform fighters. I think that's like
yeah.
because I'm a big
I
platformer guy, so that's the way I've
There's a lot
connected
of
with
love for
fighting
that.
games.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
basically, they straight up were like, we saw what happened with multiverses, and we were like, nah, cancel this shit. Like, we're not doing that shit anymore.
That's an interesting response to that. Yeah. Okay.
Multiverses helped convince them to pull the
It's
plug, they said.
Where's that? Do you know where that's coming? Like who? I don't know who made that decision ultimately, or is it
Who pulled the
more
plug?
hearsay than?
I guess
Yeah,
the head ups at
the
Riot.
inside of it. Okay, we don't know like
So the word of the
the
unannounced
head
project comes
pull,
from
but
journalist Mikhail Klementov, who said that roughly 70 to 80% of people who were working on the game, when Riot decided not to move ahead in late May, the game Codename Pool Party was originally envisioned as a hardcore fighting game, but evolved into something more as a party game elements. We've also had a number of projects in various phases of research and development, and spinning projects up and down happens multiple times a year. I think like almost all the people who are working on it have moved on to different roles inside Riot, so they've just taken them off the unannounced game, and like they're working on the current games they have. So there's League of Legends, there's League of Legends TFT, which is a game mode inside League of Legends that is their strategy also battler. There's Legends of Runeterra, which I think is safe to say is probably on life support right now. I don't think there's a really like a active scene for Legends of Runeterra, and I think that's probably why they were thinking about making a game mode like this. And then when they saw Multiverse, they went, "Oh, we don't want another Legends of Runeterra," and they pulled the plug on that because they also did.
Right.
Because I used to call it Riot Game because they didn't make games, but they also have Valorant, and
Yeah.
Valorant is insanely popular. That's their like
Yeah.
class-based like hero shooter, like a CS:GO style game, round-based like economy game. Then they also had Riot Forge, where you remember they did like a bunch of games, like Airship Syndicate did like a game. There's a bunch of like games out there, and they cancelled that because they were like, we don't think this is going to be profitable. We don't want to put in the time and money to turn it to something more profitable. And then I guess they were like, oh, and also they're working on 2KO, which is another fighting game which has one of the worst titles for a game. It was they went from calling the game Project L, which is literally a better name, despite like imagine calling something Project L.
in a gaming context, it's kind of funny.
Like imagine calling it again Project L. Like that's insane.
Mm.
If you don't know, like
better than what they came up with.
Like in modern speak, like W stands for win and L stands for loss. If you're an old person, like I am becoming. But yeah, what was my point? Oh, yeah. So Riot Games works on a bunch of fucking shit at this point, and having a bunch of people working on a platform fighter, which I assume would be free to play. Oh, Tony, I didn't even mention something that came out recently, and I should have mentioned on releases. I almost played it, and then I stopped myself, and I'll explain you why. They just released a Vampire Survivors game mode called Swarm. So there's a brand new free-to-play game mode inside League of Legends where you pick League of Legends characters and you fight waves of enemies, and you get upgrades as you collect XP. And then when you collect money, you spend it on upgrades outside the game. And it's a Vampire Survivors game inside League of Legends. I'm like, that's awesome. And you have to install the League of Legends client to play it. And I'm like, I refuse to install the League of Legends client. I refuse.
Okay. Right. Is that the only reason?
Yeah, if they release the game separately, I would install it immediately. I'm not even kidding. Right. Like, I legitimately was addicted to League of Legends, and it destroyed my mental health, and I refused to reinstall the game. Like, I've installed Legends of Runeterra, the card game. I don't care about that. Like, if I can... I've installed TFT. TFT, you can play the mobile client on your phone. Like, I've played the mobile client on my phone.
That's separate,
But to play like TFT or Swarm, you have to install... It's inside League of Legends. You have to install the League of Legends client. And I'm like, I just don't want to destroy my fucking mental health. Like, with the chance that I decide that it's a good idea to play League of Legends again. This game will just do, kids. League of Legends is heroin, not even once.
Okay.
But yeah,
guess you came off it though, so it's not as bad. But yeah.
Yeah, I have been League of Legends clean for years. I would say I've been League of Legends clean for like 8 years or something like that. Crazy.
You might treat it like a drug, yeah. Okay.
Well, speaking of things getting cancelled, the console development status for City Skylines 2 has been delayed indefinitely. So Tony, you'll know, like, seeing how it ran on the PC, I can only imagine them trying to get it to run on a console.
Yeah, there were lots of things that there were after. I saw something like they went. or did they decide to make Cities Skylines 2 like the like high fidelity like pipeline for like development, which I guess means like it was never gonna really run well, which is like okay, but it's still run. And then yeah, when it released in the state, it's like how is this gonna run on console? And I guess it's not, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you're distraught, Tony, because you're ready to load up your
Well,
PS4 and load up City Skylines 2. Like, imagine
there
they
was lots of
released City
things.
Skylines 2 on the previous gen consoles. That would be
Yeah, that
nuts.
was not gonna happen. I think it was just confusing. It's like it didn't need to be a console edition, like or why not focus on what like where city building games are strong, like what and then if it was successful, then then try and make it a console. It seems to be an odd Paradox seems to have this odd obsession with trying to make console versions, at least until now, I suppose. But yeah, it didn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, Splitgate 2 unveiled for a 2025 PC and console launch. So this was Splitgate was a wildly popular like sort of like indie game where you could shoot people you would shoot portals onto the wall and you could shoot through the portals and it was like an interesting arena shooter. And then basically they cut back like development on the and they were like, "Oh, we got a bunch of money." So then they were like, "Oh, let's get a big team together and make like a really concerted effort to make a really like polished version of the game," which I guess is where Splitgate 2 is coming from now. But
Brilliant.
it seems like Splitgate 1, so that I think this is the right quote. Splitgate was more of an arena shooter, fast-paced, very circular motion. Uh, Prolix adds, with this next game, it's more of a class-based shooter or arcade shooter where it's still fast-paced. It's still about shooting people and portaling, but it's a little bit more thoughtful. It's a little bit more strategic. The angles are a little bit more intentional and less chaotic. So,
Okay.
taking your like, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember when we talked about Splitgate and I was saying like there was literally a game mode in Splitgate 1 where in order to score a point you had to teabag your opponent when you killed them? Um,
Yeah, I do remember that.
but it was very popular with that like more arena fast-paced combat,
Yes.
almost like I
Yeah.
would say like Halo sort of combat. I mean, Halo's a bit slower because you've got overshields, but it was definitely a bit more faster paced.
It
But
was in
kind
that
of
sort of vein, yeah.
changing that and slowing it down a bit, that's definitely not going to be like the direction that a lot of people will want, but it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I mean, you can have
Well,
like games like Valorant is a great example of a slower
did
paced, very popular multiplayer
yeah,
game.
did they take criticism or not criticism or like ideas from the actual people playing it? Like if it's from a good place, I could see it working, but depends. Yeah, where did it come
We've
from
just
or
got like
where's it going?
images right now is what we're seeing. Like
Hmm.
it looks very good from what I can see. Like
Okay.
it looks I want to say like are they using Unreal Engine 5 maybe? Like it looks decent, but yeah, I just don't know what is there Unreal? I don't know. It looks better for sure, like in terms of graphics fidelity, but whether that will translate to gameplay, we'll have
Yeah.
to wait and see.
Does that make it more fun though? Yeah.
Let's move on to retro emulation news. Classic Marathon 2 is now available on Steam. So the Aleph 1 team, if you don't know, they were developing unofficial mods to basically let you run the old marathon games on modern systems. And now they're working with Bungie, and they are making it so you can just play them for free on Steam. You can just pick them up free to play. They've just done the first game, and now the second game is on there now. And I believe they said they're working on the next
It
marathon game.
that is a yeah. I think it's a cool. I don't really say like
It's powered by
actual
the
response from Bungie.
Aleph 1 engine, which is available under the terms of the GNU a general public license. So it's like a
Okay.
public
Yeah.
license game, which is called C.
Yeah.
I
That's
think Bungie is like, hey, let's get people talking about marathon because we're making a extraction shooter marathon game.
yeah.
Like how the Last of Us came the video game PC port came out just after the TV show aired. Like they like to try and tie in media together to create like hype
Yeah.
cycles for this sort of stuff. Um, I feel like most people playing Classic Marathon don't want to play the new Marathon Extraction
No,
shooter,
absolutely not. No, I don't see that.
but it's
I
cool
guess
that
there'd be some
it's cool that
talk
this
of it, but yeah.
exists. I guess.
Yeah, it's cool it exists. And it's cool that it's
Uh, ret-
something good with it.
Retro achievements are coming to Dolphin, so you can now have a retro achievements for GameCube, and I think I'm seeing specifically GameCube, but I don't know if this is also for Wii. I think it seems like specifically it's just for the GameCube right now, which is interesting. But it's cool to see that this exists nevertheless. I have used retro achievements, but it's been with on the. I think I used them on the Steam Deck. When you set up Emu Deck, you can link your retro achievements account, and I think I did get achievements in. I think it was Ratchet and Clank. Maybe I think it has. Is PCSX2 have retro achievement support? I definitely have used retro achievements at some point, and I think it is cool to add that replayability of going achievement hunting for these games that didn't have them
Yeah.
as an option.
Yeah,
Which is cool to
I think
see.
it's a good, it's a positive thing for it gives some or different way, maybe not a different way to play, but like it could be or add something else or another facet to a game.
But yeah, speaking of Dolphin, like Dolphin has like I remember like Dolphin for the longest time has been like the most streamlined, like best UI, best looking like emulator out there. It's like very straightforward, like looks very clean. Like they've done a lot of work to make it very presentable. But let's move on. PCSX2 is getting a official 2.0 version, and for the longest time, the most stable version of PCSX2 was 1.6, and that was released 4 years ago. And I think within like a couple of weeks or months, even the current nightly build of PCSX2 was like light years ahead of the stable version, and they were like, "Oh, most people who install PCX2 for the past 4 years have been using a super outdated version of it," and they've been like, "Oh, well, it's like I don't know if you've seen before this version." PCX2's UI was really outdated. It was like it reminded me of like early 2000s like UI for like
Oh right.
programs and stuff like that.
So, yeah.
But they're moving into the Qt era, so it has a brand new like streamlined like modern UI. There's you can have like tile view, you can have like list view. It looks really good. They now have per game settings. Also, they're moving to a Qt system, so it will now give you the ability to automatically update when you launch the game. When you launch the emulator, like, hey, do you want to update to the latest version? Get the new fixes, which is really useful to see because this will help with people who get stuck on older versions and wondering why stuff might be broken. They also thanked the Stenzek, who is a developer on DuckStation, because DuckStation came out, which is a PS1 emulator, and people were like, "Oh, DuckStation is a really good, like, streamlined, super powerful PS1 emulator," and it was like leaving the PS2 emulation in the dust. So it's like cool to see like the DuckStation guys come over and help with the PS2 emulator, but they're getting rid of plugins for PCXX2, but they're keeping the core design of the plugins and making them just like they're going like, oh, what was this plugin doing? Can we just assimilate that into the actual code of PCSX2? They're simplifying configuration with automatic game fixes. They are also creating a big picture mode, so this will be perfect for people playing on couches, on TVs, or on a gaming handheld.
Yeah, always useful to have as an option.
Then they're also adding patches. So With the new era of partial reconstruction of how cheats and patches work, the same panache system remains, but with some alterations and additions to make it simpler to use. So they made updated to the patching system, which introduced ini-like labels to panache files. So these labels allow for significant quality of life improvements. Each individual cheat or patch can be labeled and can be shown in a UI, so you can turn on and off one. So you can be like, oh, I'm going to turn on 60 FPS mode. Oh, I want to turn it off. And they've also made like a repository, so people can upload all their patches for specific PS2 games and upload them here. So you can go there and get all the patches for the emulator, which is really useful. And they've also been talking about how they've been upgrading, specifically blending is a big thing in PS2 emulation. So blending was a thing where it basically massively increased accuracy inside PS2 games. Like sky textures wouldn't load, for example, in some games if you didn't have blending on, but blending's also really expensive. So if you're running on like a slower system or you were running on like a handheld or something, like you would want to turn blending down or to not use it in certain circumstances. But they're showing like how their general emulation has got way faster. Like if you look here, Need for Speed's Carbon High Blended 8 times internal resolution on a 2060 has a 1060% performance boost. So they've gone from 9 FPS on 1.6 to 104 to 2.0.
That's like a 10 times increase.
Yeah. So this game went from unplayable on the most stable version to being super playable. But it just goes to show you how people are saying like, oh, PCSX2 is not that, like it has bugs and quirks and not every game runs on it, but like most people were playing on a 4-year-old version of the emulator that was super outdated by today's standards.
Yeah.
But that's cool to see. And they even said like you can do video capture with FFmpeg. They've also added texture replacements for some games. So they're not doing the texture replacements themselves, but they're giving you the ability to add your own textures from like third-party people like AI upscaling them or whatever. You can dump textures from any game, edit them, and load them back. But the problem is the way it's kind of a hacky system because of the way the PS2 does textures. That it might break at any point, sort of thing. And they said that the PCSX2 community does not provide support for texture packs or allow sharing packs of any kind. So they're not doing like a repository like they are with patches, but they say you can use texture replacements, but you will have to go to third-party websites in order to get these yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been showing like, hey, Burnout now has a skybox in the current version. I like how they said like Ratchet and Clank games are actually relatively solid considering how temperamental they can be, but now they did fix one Pexy remnant with that game, which was the menu background, and there's now interpolation options for sound, which is interesting, for smooth interpolation.
Yeah, how does that work with sound? Okay.
I have no idea.
I guess I'm just thinking like, does it smooth?
Like if the idea of frame interpolation is taking the frame that's already there and trying to guess what's going to happen next, I guess because like PS2 sounds are very low quality. What they're doing is they're taking the sound and going, oh, this note should sound like this, so they're interpolating it to make it sound higher quality without actually rewriting the soundtrack, sort of thing.
I guess that makes sense.
This is fucking amazing. There's a modern controller mapping system in the PS2 emulator with like automatic input like support. So if you have an X input controller and you plug it in, it should just go, yeah, I know what an X input controller is. I could just recognize this immediately. And also, Tony, retro achievement support. They've just added them.
Yeah, that's nice.
So I guess it wasn't PS2 that I got my achievements in because they've just added these. Yeah, this stuff is all
Yeah,
really
it's good
cool.
to see. Yeah,
Tony,
it's good to see.
Tony, can you talk about your favorite PS2 games while I go and get a glass of water?
I can, but I will say oddly, a lot of them have PS3 release of the stuff that I would want to play, which is what I was planning to do. But no, I think they're still. Oh man, it's been ages. I mean, I still have some PS2 stuff actually, which is interesting. But no, I guess the go-to stuff has always been. I mean, as we saw, Ratchet and Clank. It's nice to see that it is fundamentally working. Um, and in tandem as well, I suppose. The actual Jack and Daxter games, fantastic. PS2 stuff. Yeah, I saw that interestingly. I don't know how I feel about this because again, there's been like PC remasters of this, Destroy All Humans and one and two, I suppose. So I don't know how them. I don't know if I'd want to play the original or not, but I guess that is an option if you want to. But yeah, it's been ages since I actually need to think about games that are good to play from the PS2 era. Oh, you know what? I will mention this before Joe gets back. Punisher games from PS2. Fantastic. Would recommend that. Don't know how well that runs, but yeah, fantastic. Don't know how long they are though. Very short games, PS2. Some PS2 games at least. And I think Punisher is one of them. Definitely an 18.
Yeah, well, you have like when it comes to remaster, you also have like Jack and Daxter native PC port as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. If you want to play the other ones though, I guess you could still
I find
get
because
the
when I'm
PS2
going
versions.
to get into series I never played, so I don't have the nostalgia for. I always play the remaster because I'm like, oh, this is the best place to
Mm.
start. Like I'm currently playing Final Fantasy Remake, the
Yeah,
remaster of the system, and it's like almost a completely different game in a lot of aspects. It's gone from being a turn-based
yeah,
JRPG to a hack and slash game. Or like I
yeah,
played the Katamari Damacy Reroll, the remaster, or Super Mario RPG, the remaster, but they cut out like a bunch of grinding and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um,
Think unless you want unless there's like something specific you want from those older ones, because like I can see that. There's like, oh, I didn't really like how they remaster it. I'm gonna keep playing the OG.
yeah.
Like the sometimes the original is better to certain people. I could understand that. And again, that working, I could appreciate
Yeah. Let's move
wanting
on
to do that.
to mod news. So, Fallout London developers have said they're waiting for the green light from GOG to release the mod, but basically going forward, they will be releasing the mod on GOG, and you will need to downgrade your version of the Fallout 4 from the next gen patch because basically Bethesda broke the game and they
Yes,
just made it worse.
thoroughly.
We will be releasing on
Yeah,
the old version
there's
for now.
another.
On the next gen is fully functional and fixed by Bethesda. We will include an FAQ
Yeah,
and guides on how to install and use the downgrader. So they, with the actual
yeah.
install of the mod on GOG, they are going to be including a downgrader that will downgrade your version of the game to the right version. And there'll be
I think
instructions on
that's
how to
nice.
use it. Um,
Almost stable branch that isn't what Bethesda wants you to
And
have.
also, Fallout London won't be playable via Epic Games Store copies of Fallout 4 at launch because there's no downgrade versioning on Epic Games, I believe. Like with
Wow.
GOG, like the GOG Galaxy client, any game that you have can be downgraded to any version arbitrarily. You can do it whenever you want. They
Yeah.
have like a historical patch system.
But
Steam is
Steam
an
has that if
opt-in
you
system.
opt in from the developer's point of
So if a
view.
developer makes a separate like beta branch
Yeah.
of it, they can allow you to have a previous version, which I'm assuming. So does Fallout 4 have a pre next gen patch one, or is this what the downgrading tool's going to do?
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know.
No, I don't
And
know because I've been stuck with the Steam stuff, so
Yeah. And then apparently Epic Games continues to be the worst game launcher for playing games. I
yes,
don't know. It's
yeah.
just missing
I
loads of
still have it
features.
installed, so
I do because I sometimes play games. I play Fortnite. The game I play the most on
play
Epic
for
Games is Fortnite, actually, unironically.
yeah, yeah.
I was showing my friend Lego Fortnite the other day because he was like round, and I was like, "Oh." He was like, "What's Lego Fortnite?" And I was like, "You didn't know there was a Lego version of Fortnite?"
It's the good version.
Then we'll move on to I put this under Steam news. There's a new version of DXVK 2.4, which has added support for DirectX 8 games are now supported under DirectX VK. So you might be able to get better performance on DirectX games with this, and you'll be able to play them on Linux on something like a Steam Deck as well, which is cool to see.
Yeah,
There was also a
that's nice.
bunch of improvements for like newer games like Dead Space, Fallout 4, Gothic, Guild Wars 2. They worked around a flickering issue that you love to
Oh,
see.
okay, interesting.
But yeah, let's move on to our final piece of big news. Microsoft news. Xbox Game Pass is getting major changes with a new tier without day one games and a range of price increases. So
Yeah,
what you need to know. Here's what you need to know. Soon, Xbox Game Pass for console will be shuttered for new users only. Users currently on Xbox Game Pass for console will be allowed to maintain their subscription as well as day one games, and the hundreds of titles in the back catalogue. New users of Xbox Game Pass in the near future will be greeted by a new Xbox Game Pass standard. This is more like EA Access, which includes Xbox back catalogue and doesn't include day one games. This will be priced at $15 per month and will include Xbox Live Gold for multiplayer, now known as Game Pass Core, confusingly. It does not include, because Xbox Game Pass Core used to be its own separate tier as well. It doesn't include Xbox Game Pass Cloud Gaming. Game Pass Standard is supposedly launched in September. From September 12th, 2024, Microsoft will only allow existing users to stack Xbox Game Pass for console for up to 13 months using prepaid cards and the like, and will continue to function in perpetuity. If you have more than 13 months stacked already, you won't be impacted. If you cancel the outgoing Xbox Game Pass for console, you will lose your entitlement to day one games permanently, and you will need to subscribe to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to get it back. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate will not be changed, but it will get a price increase, and it will still include PC Game Pass, day one games, and hundreds of back catalog titles as well. PC Game Pass is also getting a price increase. I think it's going from like $10 per month to $12 per month. But PC Game Pass will continue to get day one games. So
yeah, PC got it good.
Yeah.
Well, not as bad compared to the console version.
So here's my biggest confusions.
Yeah.
PC Game Pass is being untouched, but it's getting a small price increase.
Yeah.
Which I find strange, but also I understand that it's not a strong market for Microsoft. Like, there's the problem with PC gamers is we're way less willing to put up with shit, and we also are not like, we have access to Steam sales. Like, if you were like, haha, we've trapped you, you are subscribed to Game Pass, and we're going to massively increase the price, and if you don't pay the increased price, you won't be able to keep playing Game Pass. People will be like, okay, I'm going to stop paying for Game Pass and I'm going to go buy games on Steam. And then they'll be like, oh shit. So they understand that the PC market is not going to put up with this shit. I just find it really funny how, as somebody who owns an Xbox, it is much better for you to play Xbox games on a PC. It's way cheaper and better for you to play them on a PC. It's just fucking nuts to me. Like how much they've shown that they like are really like don't really care that much about their Xbox player base right now in terms of like moving exclusives to other platforms, but it seems like I feel like at one point Microsoft is just going to stop making Xboxes. It feels like they're just moving more to this publisher side slash just putting stuff on
Yeah.
PCs or making Xboxes just full PCs. I mean, they wanted to make Xboxes PCs for a longest time, and that went to mixed success.
Do we know what I guess in terms of money, like how much more they make even before these changes on the console version of Xbox Game Pass than the PC version? Like I
I have
assume
no idea.
a huge amount of people were on for some reason subscribing. Well, I don't think for some reason it didn't make sense, but I feel like as a PC user, like it made more sense to like do it on the PC. I guess it makes more sense now, but it made more sense to be on the PC version. But
one
I
of the
guess
big things was
what you have.
one of the big marketing pushes of Game Pass was play it day one on Game Pass. And
That was
no
huge.
longer true because
Yeah.
there exists a tier of Game Pass where you cannot play day one games on Game Pass anymore, which is crazy.
Especially for console versions.
If they'd announced this change to PC Game Pass, I would be gone immediately. I'd be like, fuck this shit.
Well, you're locked in from...
I'm locked in until like March next year. Because I basically did what this article is suggesting you do, which is buying larger amounts of game time on prepaid cards at big discounts through third-party websites. And that actually saves you so much money. So I already have a bunch of game time stacked up. But my current thoughts going forward now is I'm not going to be buying more prepaid game time. I'm actually just going to let my Game Pass sub run out. I don't think I'm interested in resubscribing, at least not right now.
Yeah, like the confidence in like the package just doesn't seem to make
They're
sense.
making they're making the
they
product
seem to have
worse.
less confidence.
Yeah. A lot of the like I've been enjoying playing like games on Game Pass and having the ability to play them, but the games I've been playing on Game Pass is like random indie games. Like there's no like big like AAA tent games that I couldn't just buy as Steam games otherwise. That I've been like
pricing, 100%. And if you have the console version, like I don't see why you would continue at this point. Like it just doesn't make any sense. I'm concerned it's going to get worse though I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Because PC Game Pass is currently like £8 a month. And then I think it's going to go up to like £10, something like that. Because I think it was around like £7 to £8, and then I think it was like £7. It went up to like £8, and now it's going up to like £10.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when they're removing some of the bulk stuff, you could have gone at least for the console version stuff. Like when they're removing some of like the like buy that you couldn't buy like a year stuff anymore. You had to. I think like 6 months was the most you could get.
They're removing the stacking for Ultimate.
Okay. Right, okay.
So they've said here you can only allow existing user to stack for up to 13 months.
Right.
And I think they're trying to cut back on stacking because stacking prepaid cards is like a really good way to save money on Game Pass, and those prepaid cards are money that Microsoft has already got. Basically, it's not like new income; like they've already sold those cards, basically, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. One thing I find kind of nuts is you have to buy the ultimate tier of Game Pass to get the cloud streaming service. Like I feel like there should be like a cloud. They're pushing this xCloud thing, and I could see the benefit of xCloud if you want it.
Yeah,
but I feel like
I feel like
there should be a tier that's
Yeah.
just cloud streaming, for example? Like,
Yeah,
why is it that
yeah.
you have to buy the most expensive tier of Game Pass to get cloud streaming?
Yeah, I guess they're trying to get you to lock in and have the
Like,
experience and go,
as
well,
a
why
as
would I
a
change
PC
that?
Pass user, it's like, why do I need Xbox Game Pass Ultimate? It's like, well, you have cloud streaming, which I don't want, and that where they sometimes add like DLC or like additional content to Game Pass, but it's almost always usually like nothing. Like the only thing I think of is that they're adding the Persona 3 Reload DLC as an ultimate perk, and it's the first time that I've seen them
Yeah.
do that as a
It,
um
yeah, it's
as a
not
big thing for
consistent enough
ultimate.
to be that you can like rely on it. Yeah.
But yeah. um I have Game Pass time. I still want to play Avowed, Indiana Jones. I want to play the new Call of Duty game because I haven't played a Call of Duty game in like 10 fucking years. So maybe even more than that. Jesus Christ. When was the last time I played a Call of I did play Warzone, but that was the Battle Royale game mode. I haven't played a
Right.
Call of Duty single player campaign since Modern Warfare 2.
The OG.
The OG.
Yeah. That's a long time ago, right? When was
Which
that?
is really hard to find the release date of because I'm getting the re-release released
Yeah, it's
2009.
awful. Really? Okay.
So I haven't
Blimey.
played a Call of Duty campaign in 15 years.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to play a Call of Duty campaign because usually they're like a bunch of like quick fun. So I'm
I mean,
excited to try
I
that
used to
out.
be a fan of zombie stuff, but I think it might have been 15 years since I last played stuff. So
Anyway, and with these announcements, the FTC has blasted Xbox Game Pass price increase and new tiers as Project Degradation.
what did they expect though? If they had all this
I
control,
don't
I
know.
don't know. I think they can't really say anything
I feel
because
like this does pretty much
they knew it's
nothing, and
happening.
it's just the
Yes.
FTC posturing because they don't like Xbox buying, but
Well,
Activision Blizzard.
I would argue they were posturing because they took a lot of criticism for not doing enough due diligence into the merger of Activision.
So
Or sorry, the buying of Activision.
the FTC is arguing that because day one releases are being moved into the ultimate tier, which is a lot more expensive, and the price is being increased,
Yeah.
this is directly coincided with Activision Blizzard having
Yes.
Call of Duty, and Call of Duty being added to the most expensive tier coincides with the
Yes.
merger.
But it's such a nothing bug. Like it doesn't. They're not them actually doing anything. It's just them. It just
Yeah.
seems to be them saving face because they weren't. People argue they didn't investigate enough into them acquiring Activision. So
Well, speaking of Microsoft Studios, Bethesda Game Studios workers have unionized. Not the same as the QA union. This time it's wall to wall, 241 developers, including artists, engineer, programmers, and designers, per the CWA, and they say Microsoft has recognized the union. So
okay.
that's at least a
Interesting.
piece of positive news that we've got out of Microsoft. But yeah, we'll see you next time. YouTube.com at Everything In Between Podcast, Twitch.tv/Scorn if you want to watch live, shows.cast.com/everything-in-between-podcast. There will be links to the audio version and on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.